Finetwork FIM JuniorGP World Championship comes to round number 4 at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve here in Portugal. 16 corners make up this ribbon of fantastic tarmac with great scenery and also great racing action in store for you today. We've had 3 amazing races over the course of the day. We have 3 more to come with the JuniorGP race number 2 coming up next. Can anyone stop Angel Piqueras in the World Championship as he looks to consolidate his championship lead, but had a bit of a struggle in race number 1 here today with lots of action and Jabi Zuratuza finally taking his first race win. Good afternoon from the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. I'm Liam Hodgins, and joining me, next to me, is a baritone, or Barry Money, is Chris Jordan.
Good afternoon, Liam. And again, another wonderful introduction from my good Scottish friend. I really need to put some more work into my introductions for you.
Oh, good. I've been sitting up all night just thinking of what I can say to bring you into the action. So, no worries at all about that. I'll keep it. I'll make sure I keep a checklist for next time for that one. Anyway,
back to the track action.
Back to the action indeed here. JuniorGP race number 2 is upon us, and this is what happened in race number 1 earlier on. It was an absolute cracker with Luca Lunetta unfortunately missing out on the start. Angel Piqueras would go from pole position after Luca Lunetta, who should have been starting on pole, was starting from the back of the grid. Torrin Collins had a disastrous start to his day. He couldn't get off the line, but it was Angel Piqueras who took the lead from Ruda and Almanza, the Finetwork Mirror Racing Team machines, slotting into 2nd and 3rd respectively before Jakob Rulston took the lead of the race, with Angel Piqueras just having a bit of a moment into turn number 1 as well. Maybe Cormac Buchanan would take the lead for only briefly though, as he would slide out of contention. But he'll be back in action in race number 2 just coming up. But it was Marcus Ruda who was looking to assert his authority on the race and take his first race win. As Angel Piqueras would have another moment. It wouldn't be the first or the last of his race, as the 2 Finetwork Mirror Racing Team machines almost came to blows at the start of lap number 5. But then Alvaro Carpi got in the mix as he took the lead into turn number 5, and he would hopefully consolidate that into his first victory of the season. But Marcus Ruda once again would slot up the inside, but it'd be Angel Piqueras around the outside with a lot of them into turn number 1. Tachikon Bruadri was in the mix as well before, unfortunately, clipping the back of Carpi, and Ruda sent him to the back of the grid, but he would immediately try and fight his way back to the front as Joel Esteban put a 2-for-2 on the 2-for-1 move into turn number 11 on Alvaro Carpi and Ruda, but Angel Piqueras still held on with only a few laps remaining. But then he was out wide, put himself out of contention after a moment at turn number 1. Joel Esteban assumed the lead of the race, but then it was Tachikon Bruadri who would take the lead. Luca Lunetta on the curb looking up the inside, but then it was Zuratuza that would pick the pocket of the young Italian before eventually winding up the wick on Tachikon Bruadri, getting a great run out of the final corner, came alongside the Thai rider and across the line to take his first race win of the season and the 100th in JuniorGP. Jabi Zuratuza, a first-time race winner, and he will be hoping to make it a double here in race number 2 in Portimao.
So 32 degrees out here in Portimao. Quite warm on track too. Its temperatures rising again. 42 degrees on track, meaning we are in some perfect conditions as the wind blows. There is a little bit of a crosswind, particularly around turn 8 and over the crest, but it hasn't seemed to affect it on track so much. Just something riders have been cautious of so far. So take a look at our grid for race 2 here at the Autodromo Internacional do Algarve. Having experienced some misfortunes in the opening race, Luca Lunetta is all lined up on pole position. Lunetta had an absolutely stunning ride as well in the opening race of the day, coming from further back in the grid after encountering some difficulties with the marshals in pit lane. Here he is on screen. The AC Racing Team rider came from further down, deep on the grid, to take a podium this morning in well, what was quite a sensational ride for the Italian.
Incredible ride by Luca Lanetta, as you were just saying there, really bigging up his ride in race number 1, starting from the back of the grid. This time round, he is on the grid and he is starting from pole position. It was only his 2nd podium of the year, and he'll be hoping to convert that into what could be a first victory of the year in race number 2 today. But as we saw in race number 1, Chris, he's going to have a lot of riders coming at him from left, right, centre. It was all action in race number 1. And Angel Piqueras found himself in the absolute the mid-pack of it, the midst of it as well. 3 race wins this year, 5 podiums. And, well, we thought he would be able to add to that. However, he didn't. And he finally missed out on a podium for the first time in 2023. 7th spot after almost launching himself out of the seat at the start of the final lap.
Yeah, he was pretty good actually in that opening race. So very unfortunate on the last lap to have lost it a little bit, and that put him in 7th. Still picked up some points as he goes ahead in the championship lead. But yeah, he'll be back with a vengeance, I imagine, for race 2.
Big time. Yeah,
so starting 3rd, we have Adrian Cruces. Didn't quite make his front row start count in race 1. It'll be interesting to see if the rider sitting 8th in the championship can add to his podium picked up in Jerez.
Yeah, big disaster for Cruces in race number 1. Slipped outside of the points. So, yeah, Adrian Cruces from the front row of the grid, he would have definitely thought he was going to pick up more from that as well. But we saw his 2 teammates, David Almanza and Marcos Ruda, really scrapping out to the front. And Marcos Ruda as well, another unfortunate rider to slip outside of the top 10 where he looked in perfect place to be picking up another podium.
Yeah, that Ruda and Almanza battle was a real highlight of the opening race. The 2 of them not standing on ceremony, even though they are good teammates and friends. Joel Esteban then, he had a cracking opening race, coming from deep on the grid to, well, he was at the back of the grid having incurred the wrath of the marshals and indeed the stewards rather. He finished 6th in the opening race, but he's starting a little further up now at the head of the 2nd grid.
I must admit, there's one person in this paddock I would not want to get in a fight with. It might be Joel Esteban. He might be a small guy, but he's a very stocky young fella, is Joel Esteban. He looks like he can definitely pack a punch in there. So, yeah, the very, very, very confident stewards and marshals to give him a penalty, but he'll be punching his way through the pack in race at number 2, will Joel Esteban, and be aiming for what would be a repeat podium in 2023, where he managed to pick up his first one back in Valencia. Someone is still chasing another podium and first race win is Jakob Rolston. He picked that up earlier on in the season in Valencia after some disaster at the final corner. He managed to come through and pick up his first podium. He was well in the mix earlier on in race number 1 here today, but just slipped out of contention in the final few laps and dropped down to 3rd in the championship as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Rolston, he was part of that lead group for much of the early exchanges and did slip out, as you mentioned. Here's one rider to watch. David Almanza, winner last time out in Valencia, or Jerez rather, excuse me. He's very much the win it or bin it type. As you can see here, 4 DNFs in the opening races, not all through his own fault. And then he finally picked up his first points of the season in pretty sensational style while he added to his tally today, but didn't quite make the podium run. He will definitely be one to watch, the number 22.
Indeed he will be. He was well and truly in the mix in race number 1 along with his teammate Marcos Ruda. So he's got a lot of talent, does David Almanza, and we know that he will definitely be in the mix as well. Always riding with you, Damon Rees, part of the British Superbike paddock as well. And yeah, lots of great sentiments for Damo, sent out by all of us here in the paddock as well. Cormac Buchanan, well, unfortunate to slide out of contention in race number 1 after taking the lead, but Cormac Buchanan now has really asserted himself as a mainstay at the front of JuniorGP.
Yeah, he's very much had a good season to date so far. Didn't quite go his way in the opening race for the Kiwi rider, but expect him to try and make things right today, and he will be among that lead group. He's launching from the head of the 3rd row. Tachakorn Bu Asri then. What a ride he had in the opening race. Finally back on the podium after his Estoril win in 2022. He'd been waiting a while. He was so close to the victory today, only to be done at the death by Jabi Suratutsa.
Yeah, incredible ride by Tachakorn Bu Asri. It looked like he was really in command on the final lap of the race, just to be mugged very late on the line by Zuratuza. But he looks very happy. He looks back on form as Tachikon Buaji, and probably helped out by the fact he got a couple of rides in the Moto3 World Championship very recently in Assen. So he's probably come back to Junior GP with a lot of confidence, and he's taken that forward and got himself back on the podium. And someone else will be looking for some more podium silverware will be Rosenthaler, 3rd place in Estoril and 12th in the championship. But Rosenthaler, starting from 9th spot, he could find himself well and truly in the mix here today.
Yeah, he's definitely a talented rider, and he's already got that podium from the opening race of the season, benefiting from Alvaro Carpe's disqualification in that Estoril race 1. We see there he's consistently among the points, but he'll probably want to take that another step in the second half of this season to really push into those top 8, top 6 places on a regular basis, and who knows, maybe add a couple podiums.
Indeed, he's certainly one to watch out for. Someone else we must be watching out for is Elia Bartolini. Crashed out of contention in race number 1, not really featuring in the podium battle before his unfortunate slip-off, but he's starting from 10th on the grid. Unfortunately, look at that, 27 points to his name, only 15th place in the championship. We would have expected a lot more from Elia Bartolini coming into this season.
Yeah, this is a rider who has World Championship experience on the Moto3 circuit to his name. Hasn't quite kicked off just yet for him this year, but the potential is most certainly there, as it is with this rider, Nico Carraro, who took victory in the opening race of the season. Again, didn't quite feature as much as we may have expected in the opening race of today, and you can see there top 10 finish from race 1. So since those lofty heights set in the opening race of the season where he took a dramatic win, he hasn't yet really hit those heights or scaled those heights.
Yeah, he was always in the podium battle in race number 1, but he never really got himself featured into it as heavily as he could have. He was always at the back of the main group, and that resulted in his 10th place spot. He's not really hit that form ever since his crash in race number 2 in Valencia, and he did miss Jerez after, well, unfortunately coming together with Jakob Ralston in qualifying in Jerez. So he missed that round, so he's back here this weekend and hopefully going to add even more points to his collection.
Yeah, so this is your starting grid for race 2 at the Junior GP. It's Luca Lanetta, Angel Piqueras and Adrian Cruces on the front row, with Joel Esteban, Jacob Ralston and David Almanza on row 2. Buchanan, Buasri and Rosenthaler is your 3rd row. While back we have Bartolini and Carraro with race 1 winner Zuratuta, who started that race at the back of the grid. He is now starting from 12th, so all eyes on the number 85. Morosi, O'Shea and Ruda on row 5, with Uriarte there as well on one row further back. Alvaro Carpe and Aditama joining Uriarte on row 6. Shariel, Yambias and Detweiler on the 7th row with Planck, Gordon, Rammerstoffer on row 8. While the last 6 riders on the grid is Angus Granfell, Alessio Mate, Kotaro Uchiumi, Torin Collins, who encountered some starting difficulties in race 1, with Cesare Tiezzi and Jeffrey Emmanuel completing the grid for the Portimao Junior GP race 2.
Absolutely brilliant little grid rundown that was, Chris. Absolutely spot on as always. So the Junior GP riders get underway here for their second race of the day in Portimao. And who can take victory away this time round from Zuratuza? Will it be the likes of Luca Lanetta, who will not be starting at the back of the grid this time? He will be starting from pole position, where should have been in race number 1, but for, well, something that went amiss in the pit lane ahead of the first race. 42 degrees track temperature. It has risen again after the lofty lows of 38 degrees earlier on here today. So it's well and truly hit the afternoon sunshine. The track temperature has increased as well, and it won't just be the track temperature that will be increasing, it will be the heart rate of all of these Junior GP riders as well, as they jockey for position throughout the 15 laps of incredible Junior GP action here today.
So on the warm-up lap we go, getting some nice temperature into those tyres ahead of what hopefully is going to be another cracker. Over the iconic Portimao crest at turn 8, downhill run into turn 9. You see the wind in the background there. Down into turn 9, swinging right before we swing it left. Now we're in turn 10, another drop coming out of here after turn 11. Turn 12, left-hander, we've seen some moves coming here, as we have at turn 13, hard braking left-hander. And then what we expected to have a leader here over the final corners. We thought maybe in control of the race. It hasn't proven the case so far today in the Junior GP class. As we have a little look at the standings, Angel Piqueras, number 18. Let's keep an eye out for him. 127 points so far. Your Red Bull Rookies champion too. He's looking to complete the double. Just the second ever rider to do so. After who, Liam?
Jose Antonio Rueda. Yeah, I had to look up that stat yesterday, but I'm glad you just dropped me in there.
I have to keep you on your toes. Yes, Jose Antonio Rueda, who's having himself quite a good season in his rookie year in Moto3 World Championship.
Yeah, speaking to Kev Coughlin, who is the team manager of the Australia Galicia 0-0 team, he was saying that Jose Antonio Rueda is quite impressed with this season, but he does take a little bit of time to work his way up to podium contention, race-winning form, so don't expect too much from him throughout the rest of 2023, but it's 2024, you must watch out for.
He did burst onto the scene in the opening race. Actually, here he was part of that podium battle, but unfortunately just missed out. But focusing back at Junior GP, Luca Linetta on the right of your screen, the number 58. He starts on pole with Angel Piqueras, and Adrian Cruces looking to get the whole shot just ahead of the Italian.
So all the riders come into position. Luca Linetta looking to the lights to go out. And, well, he will be aiming for his first victory in the Junior GP World Championship. Can we get 2 first-time race winners in one day? It's always a possibility, but Angel Piqueras will be looking to put the misfortune of race number 1 behind him and reassert himself at the top of the standings. Red lights are on, revs have rise, red lights have gone out, and it's a great start from the front row with Adrian Cruces sweeping across the front of Joel Esteban, but it's Angel Piqueras, the best of the bunch, into turn number 1. Joel Esteban slotting himself into 4th spot. Almanza in 2nd as well, ahead of Ruda, and we've got Lunetta from pole position. He's dropped down to 5th spot, but it's already chopping and changing a little bit further back. Buazri having a little sniff up the inside of Lunetta. Someone out wide, just a little bit further back on your screen there, but it's Angel Piqueras leads away so far, but Almanza is already winding the wick up and looking up the inside for a potential move into turn number 5. Can't do it quite yet, as the doctor's dangle is seen all the way throughout the field, but for now it's Piqueras ahead of Almanza and Marcos Ruda as cleanly as you like to the opening couple of corners. Yeah,
absolutely superb start from the Finetwork Mirror Racing team, boys. They're in 2nd and 3rd, but it's Piqueras, and Joel Esteban fires it up the inside of Cruces. Excellent, excellent move. Tachikoran Buasri got off very well as well from the 3rd row. He's shot right up into contention here, and you can see the number 5 rider just trailing the number 11 of Adrian Cruces for the time being.
Yeah, keeping an eye on Brett Watch. Eddie O'Shea, he's still back in 14th spot, but he was showing great form in race number 1, setting the fastest lap of the race before coming together with the likes of Adrian Cruces in race number 1. But for now, Angel Piqueras still leading the way. There's a yellow flag in the background, not quite sure how that's a couple of riders.
Jacob perhaps, we may have lost. He was at the back running in the middle. No, it's one of the other riders further back.
Looked like it was a couple of riders down in the background, one of them trying to pick the bike back up and one of them just walking off stage left. But for now, no such trouble back at the front as Angel Piqueras comes onto the home straight with David Almanza. These two have got a gargantuan gap at the front of the field. A few bike lengths as it comes steaming across the line, ticking off lap number 1. It's Piqueras, Almanza, Joel Esteban, Tachikoran Buazri hoping to repeat his podium in race number 1. And of Cruces, Rolston, Buchanan, Lunetta and Elia Bartolini. And it was Marcos Ruder and RB Aditama that went down.
Another crash for Aditama, massive disappointment for him. And Ruda, you would have expected, as we look at Cruces throw it up the inside of Tachikoran Buazri.
So such a shame from Aditama and Ruda, who were such a staple in the action, and they both just come past us. RB Aditama has remounted, as has Marcos Ruda, but they are well out of contention for this one as well.
Buazri sticking it up once again on the inside of the number 11. He probably just pushed it a little too wide, and Cruces cuts back. It's Rulston hanging in just behind them as well. That's a couple of attempts now Buazri has made at Cruces, but he's had the answers even though he's knocking at the door.
Here comes Rulston.
And now he's got Rulston at his... Rulston's bringing some trouble for the tie rider, but does he have the answer for him?
Oh, a big crash in the background. There was a high side coming out of turn number 8. Not quite sure who that was. I just saw the bike flipping at the bottom of the screen there. We'll keep an eye out.
And out front, it looks like Almanza has just made a move on Piqueras. Just seen it at the corner of the screen. He has indeed, and he's made it stick as they come through turn 12. What has Piqueras got in response for Almanza? Almanza's definitely looking for another win here to add to his Jerez victory.
Yeah, so not just Almanza that Piqueras has to watch out for. It's also Joel Esteban who has bridged that gap from the battling group behind him, and he's already on the back of your championship leader, and just behind them as well, looks like Tachikon Buadji has now got to the front of that group, might also be starting to bridge the gap to the leading group as well. But as they come on to the home straight for one more time, it's Almanza that leads away. Piqueras, Joel Esteban, your top three, as quick as you like. Cruces, Buadji and Luneta Buchanan all coming across the line and chopping and changing a little bit further back, and we will see who it was who crashed out one lap ago. It was Zurutuza.
Oh, the race winner, Xabi Zurutuza is gone.
Oh, such a shame, and there he is, just walking away. Thankfully, he's up and walking away. So a DNF in this race. This is what happened. We'll just see it at the bottom of your screen there. A high side. Oh, he's already over the top. It looked like the bike might have gone over the top of him as well, but Xabi Zurutuza
coming over the crest. It's good to see him getting up. He might be a little bit shaken, but he's walking away. You're a race one winner. Well, it's proven a day he'll never forget for becoming the 100th ever Junior GP winner, but unfortunately for the Spaniard, he hasn't been able to go 2 for 2, and he's now out of this race.
He is indeed such a shame.
And we have got a front three breaking away here a little bit. Joel Esteban on the coattails just sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:49.312. He's just kind of biding his time here a little bit. Joel Esteban, of course, in the opening race, he started a bit further back on the grid and charged very, very hard for a top 6 finish. He's just kind of sussing out what's happening ahead here as Almanza and Piqueras look like they are happy to just battle it out for the lead of the race.
Yeah,
and Buadji trying to move up the inside to get back into 4th over Luca Luneta.
Buadji is showing great form here this weekend. Podium in race number 1. A bit of a moment there, running out wide, and he's dropping a few places back there. Bit of a bobble on the front end for Tachikon. Buadji's dropped 3 places. That's Luneta, Cruces, and Corrado. Now Rolston as well up the inside. He's got Carpi going around the outside as well. So big moment there for Tachikon Buadji. He's dropped a lot of places, and as across the line now, we're going to see the gap between the first group and the second group. The difference is 1.8 seconds. So the front three are off and running as Almanza still leads away from Angel Piqueras and Joel Esteban. These three are big stars of the future, and you can definitely count them to be in the World Championship.
And here comes Piqueras up the inside. Brilliant.
There. Absolutely, as clean as you like from Angel Piqueras on David Almanza. He just sat behind him for a couple of laps, really sussed out the number 22 rider, and then thought, you know what, this pace probably is quite hot, but not as hot as I would like it. Is Almanza going to look back up the inside? No, he's not quite yet. So this is very unlike Junior GP. It's very cool and concise with a lot of thinking going on. Usually it's about a 15 rider scrap in the front, but this time round it's only a 3 rider scrap, as Angel Piqueras did set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:48.728 last time round.
Yeah, that's almost 6/10 quicker. It's about 6/10 quicker than Luca Luneta, who's leading that group just behind them. So they do have a few tenths in their back pocket. They are setting a very impressive pace out front here, but it looks like a 3-way fight for the victory. As things stand, there's a 1.8 seconds gap between Esteban in 3rd place here and Luneta in 4th place. Esteban just had a little look on the outside of Almanza there, but you see legs flying everywhere, but couldn't make a move happen on the outside. As we look here, this is the second group, the battle for 4th place. Luneta leads over Cruces with Nico Carraro, who has come quite strong in this race. He will be looking to pick up some more strong points, a strong point finish.
He will indeed. Nico Corrado.
Finally got my teeth in.
Yeah, I mean, you could borrow some of mine next time if you need to. So the top 3 come across the line for another lap ticked off. 11 laps remaining. Here comes David Almanza across the line, side by side with Angel Piqueras. Joel Esteban just sitting a couple of bike lengths a little bit further back, but late on the brakes, Angel Piqueras slots back into first, chopping the nose off David Almanza. And last time round, it was Joel Esteban that set the fastest lap of the race, at 1:48.6 that time round. There's leading.
But going blow for blow here, Esteban and Piqueras in fastest laps. Esteban sets one, Piqueras responds. Esteban sets another, as he's not quite close enough to get up the inside of Almanza, and Almanza even having a look at Piqueras as we come through turn 5 in front of the tower. Hanging it back now on the left. Not much chopping and changing in this lead group. I think they're happy to maybe open up a bit of a gap to the chasing pack behind them, which is led still by Luca Luneta.
Yeah, flashing up our timing screens there. No jump starts as we look at the top 3 poetry in motion. Down towards turn number 1. a little bit of a bump there on the inside as the front is really taking an absolute battering heading into turn number 1 from all 3 of these Junior GP machines. The Honda leads away from the 2 KTMs, the KTM of Almanza and the Gas machine of Joel Esteban as well. So can Joel Esteban finally make a move on Almanza? Not quite just yet, as he had a little look into turn number 14. And behind them, as you said, Chris, Luca Lanetta still leading the way for now ahead of Cruces, but it looks like it might be chopping change just behind them as Corrado, Rolston, Carpe and Buchanan, and Buraji, who was leading that at the front group. He's now at the back of that in 10th spot there. So some arm waving did I just see there from Angel
Yeah, a little
Gutierrez.
wave behind. I'm not sure what he was trying to signal behind them, or if he maybe had a little bit of cramp in the leg, but
I can't imagine there would be that. These Junior GP riders are very, very fit athletes, and I can't imagine they'll be getting any cramp in the legs. 5 laps into a Junior
Adrian
GP
Cruces
race.
in the background making his move to get ahead of Luca Lanetta. The gap is now out to 3 seconds from Lanetta to the top 3, to the race leader. Not much chopping and changing as of yet. Piqueras happy to lead this race with Almanza and Esteban just biding their time. Rolston out of the seat, manages to get back on it, but he does drop in behind the number 14 of the Kiwi, Cormac Buchanan.
So it's all action further back behind the top 3 as the top 3 just sort of hold stationary for now. Jacob Rolston coming back up the inside of Cormac Buchanan.
That's a little bit
That's
close
Aussie
for
on
comfort.
Kiwi action, close.
An
in terms of
Antipodean
geography.
rivalry at its best.
Absolutely. That's what you'll love to see. And this is what happened to Jacob Rolston.
Ooh.
A bit of a moment just all by himself there. Got his nose chopped off for Alvaro Carpe, and Cormac Buchanan took full advantage of that as well before Rolston would come charging back up the inside just 1 corner later. Look at this over the crest of the hill. That's about 7, 8, maybe even 9 riders in this battle for 4th position here. And it's Nico Corrado that's challenging Adrian Cruces for 4th spot, with Alvaro Carpe looking around the outside as well. So this is why the top 3 have gotten away, because this group is chopping and changing every corner as quick as you like. And here comes Jacob Rolston up the inside of Cormac Buchanan again. Luca Lanetta just holding station for now. Eddie O'Shea is in this battle just behind them. He's trying to get himself a top 10 position from 14th on the grid. Daniel Charil and of course Elia Bartolini, Fukando Yambias as well are all part of this mad battle for 4th spot, as Angel Piqueras is really starting to stretch the lead of this race as they come across the line. We'll keep an eye on the lap times. If he comes across the line, chalks up a fastest lap, he doesn't. It's a 48.7, relatively calm for one of Angel Piqueras' lap times. He's been in 148.6s for the last few laps. That was a 148.7 as David Almanza does bridge that gap to the front of Angel Piqueras as he dropped down into turn number 1. Looks like Joel Esteban is struggling a little bit in the gas machine to stay with this leading pair, but the gap at the front to the second group is 3.9 seconds. These 3 are off and running with this one at the moment. David Almanza's got a great run through turn at number 4. Piqueras goes defensive now. He knows that he's there 1.1 second quicker is the leading group over the chasing group. That's just all because they're battling and chopping and changing at every single corner, and it's really holding them up, so it's allowed the top 3 to really get away. But with 8.5 laps remaining, you can really feel that it's a bit of a storm bubbling under the surface here with Piqueras, Almanza and Esteban, with Piqueras really trying to pull away from the chasing 2 behind him, but the chasing 2 of Almanza and Joel Esteban are just holding station for now. Jacob Rolston has finally got himself towards the front of this second group again as he looks up the inside of Alvaro Carpe, and Joel Esteban, as I was just saying, he was dropping off the back of the group. He's finally found some form. He's already on the back of David Almanza. Is he having a look up the inside? Not quite yet.
Yeah, this group, they've been able to open this gap, as you said, with the chopping and changing behind them. Once this battle really kicks in for the victory fight, I imagine we will see the likes of Cruces, Corrado, Carpe and Lanetta in that group behind them. If they can settle into a rhythm, just close that gap, because it's out to about 4 seconds now between 3rd and 4th place. If they can close that gap a little bit and just settle into a rhythm and wait for the battle out front to happen, that could bring them back into podium battle. But as we can see here, there's not been much chopping and changing at all. In fact, there's been 0. It's Piqueras has led over for the last number of laps. Is Joel Esteban going to have a little look up the inside of Almanza? He absolutely is. And he's right into the back of Piqueras. Oh, he's gone wide now. He's going to fall off the front 2. He's got a comfortable advantage then, still over the chasing group. But that's exactly what I was saying. That's a moment like that is going to bring the guys in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th back into this battle. Esteban now has his work cut out. Very, very lucky for Piqueras. We're going to get the replay here. He has a look up the inside, coming down the front, start straight. That's a clean move over Almanza, but then he just gets caught in the slipstream a little bit. The late break and Piqueras catching him out, managed to take evasive action. Thankfully, all 3 riders still running in this race. Esteban must be counting his lucky stars. Despite that error, he is still running in P3 here, and not a million miles away either from Almanza.
Well, if I wasn't standing, I would have definitely fallen out of my seat after that one. That was very, very close to being a disaster between Joel Esteban and Angel Piqueras. But this has just left a leading group of 2 now at the front. David Almanza and Angel Piqueras. A bit of a bobble on the rear end there from David Almanza. And Joel Esteban is about a second back now from this leading pair. So we will keep an eye on him to see if he is starting to close that gap. But very lucky to stay on, as you said, Chris. Counting his lucky stars, indeed, will be Joel Esteban. It looked like he just got sucked into the corner ever so slightly. Maybe the slipstream just sucked him in as he went and moved into second spot ahead of David Almanza. All chopping and changing for the battle in 4th spot. It's still Alvaro Carpe leads that group, but it's Luca Lunetta now
started
chasing
making
him.
a charge through the pack.
And Brit Watch, Eddie O'Shea's now in the top 10 with Nico Corrado just ahead of him. So Nico Corrado in the last couple of laps has really dropped back from the leading group as well. So over the line now, 1.3 seconds is Joel Esteban's gap to David Almanza and Angel Piqueras. So after that moment, 1 lap ago here into turn at number 1, it really has put the spoils on his race. A podium, most definitely, if he keeps it all through for the remaining laps. He's now got a gap of 3.7
diving up
seconds.
the inside here.
Oh,
yeah, and he's going to make it stick. He started that just up at turn 2, but at turn 3 then makes it stick. Swings around for the left-hander. Has Carpe got a response from coming through turn 4? It doesn't look like he does. And Lunetta is now back in the lead of this second group in the battle for 4th.
Yeah, but back at the front, Angel Piqueras has got Almanza swarming all over the back of the Australian Olympia 0-0 machine. The Honda leading the way from the KTM. And further back, Joel Esteban is not making any inroads just yet. With 6.5 laps remaining, he still has plenty of opportunity to do so. A bit of a wheelie almost from David Almanza came off the crest of the hill. A bit of a crosswind you'll get on these JuniorGP machines, taking the front wheel away ever so slightly. We have seen that over the course of the weekend as some riders have come off the crest of the hill and just lost in front with the crosswind there as well. But Joel Esteban just in the background. The gap looks like it's remained stationary to 1.3 seconds off the back of David Almanza as well. So not much going on in terms of like all action. Wall
it's a very controlled performance from Piqueras out front. It looks like Almanza is just waiting for his moment.
He is indeed.
We saw what happened with Esteban. He may have struck a little bit too early, got it wrong, and now he's 1.5 seconds behind Piqueras.
Actually, I'd say that looks a lot closer now, to be honest. And just in terms of the naked eye, it looks like Joel Esteban has started to close that gap back in, really getting hooks into the back of David Almanza. We'll see as they come across the line now. Here comes Piqueras with Almanza tucking out of the slipstream now. As they come across the line, I am completely wrong. It's 1.4 seconds. Joel Esteban, so he's lost 1/10 of a second on that lap. My naked eye has completely thrown me under the bus, and I don't even know what I'm looking at. I might need to go to my local opticians when I get back home.
We'll get you a new pair of shades.
Please do. Cormac Buchanan up the inside of Eddie O'Shea to turn number 1. A good little scrap going on between those two for 10th and 11th spot. Look at Lunetta back up the inside of Alvaro Carpe. So even this group as well settled down ever so slightly as well. Not as much action going on throughout the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, all the way down to the back of that group as well. So 5.5 laps to go. Angel Piqueras still leading the way ahead of David Almanza. Piqueras looking for his 4th win of the season, and David Almanza looking for his 2nd and his 2nd win in 3 races. Joel Esteban, he's out of contention for now after that moment a couple of laps ago with Angel Piqueras at turn number 1. He's still trying his hardest to get onto the back of this leading pair, but he's really up against it because the 2 at the front are setting a scorching pace. These 3 are head and shoulders above the chasing pack. On the last lap, it was a 1:48 for the top 3, and the remaining riders in this group just a little bit further back were all in the 1:49, so not even close to the pace that the top 3 are setting this time.
But it is Piqueras out front with a controlled performance, as we said. Almanza just not showing his cards yet. Just over 6 laps to go as we're about to clock off. Another one coming through the final couple of right-handers. As Almanza keeping his cards close to his chest. Is he going to wait for a last lap? maneuver? Is he going to start putting the pressure on with a couple laps remaining? It's yet to be seen. It's a tactical battle breaking out up front. Joel Esteban riding a lonely race in third place. Piqueras, yeah, leading over the line once again. Almanza is in the slipstream. Is he going to show a little wheel to him here, just to let him know he's there? And here it comes. Almanza, he's not quite close enough yet. He's just going to happily bide his time. Luca Lanetta crosses the line in the lead of that second pack in P4, ahead of Alvaro Carpe and Jacob Rulston. But it's all eyes on the front here as Almanza just narrows the gap a little bit. It looks like he's winding up for a little move on this lap. We wonder where it might come. We've got the hard braking turn 5 here. It's after the back straight. Will he be close enough coming down the hill? He will not just yet. Piqueras closing the door, putting on a defensive exhibition here.
So that gap between Almanza and Esteban has come down to 1.3 seconds across the line, and that first sector, Joel Esteban was a 1/10 of a second quicker than the leading pair. So Joel Esteban has found his form once more, and he's now starting to reel in the top two. This four-wheeler at the front could become a six-wheeler in a couple of laps' time, as Almanza is climbing all over the back of Angel Piqueras. And I think you pointed out really well there, Chris, that it does look like he's starting to wind the wick up now, as David Almanza looking for a move on Angel Piqueras, who for now has absolutely not put a foot wrong whatsoever, hitting all of his apexes. His lines are perfect, Piqueras perfect, so to speak, as the number 18 out in front, with David Almanza not being dropped off whatsoever. But Joel Esteban, cue the Jaws music, because he is lurking in the background. The number 7 on the Aspar Junior team machine is starting to close the gap, as we look at David Almanza getting his nose chopped off him by Angel Piqueras into turn number 1. That's a great little slow motion replay from the top two, but they'll be starting to come across the line any moment now. 4 laps remaining, and a big
and here we go, Almanza. He's gone side by side with Piqueras. Is he going to take the advantage coming into turn 1? Once again, brilliant on the brakes. Angel Piqueras here in Portimao. He will lead it once again, coming over the line and into turn 1 and through sector 1, turns 2 and 3. But Joel Esteban is coming, and he is coming hot. They might have a real problem on their hands. With 4 laps to go, Joel Esteban is charging hard. He's got that gap down to a second, and just as I'm singing his praises, he runs out onto the green. He'll need to be a little bit more careful of that.
Yeah, Joel Esteban is on fire at the moment. 0.3 of a second quicker than your race leader, Angel Piqueras, and he's there. He's almost there. As soon as he gets under a second, he will start to get that slipstream from the top two, and it'll bring him right back into contention now. Joel Esteban hunting for another podium, hunting for his first race win in Junior GP, as David Almanza gets close to the back of Angel Piqueras, over the hill, dropping down towards Craig Jones corner, and over the crest of the hill, Angel Piqueras just opens up a couple of big lengths advantage, and he's not going to be there with him in a couple of laps. Joel Esteban's already there.
Look on the right side of the screen, you're about to see Esteban here.
Joel Esteban's on for another cracking lap time now, as he hits sector number 4, and he was a couple of 10ths of a second quicker than the 2 in front. Joel Esteban, after that mistake and that coming together with Angel Piqueras 3 or 4 laps ago, is back on the top 2, and he's in this fight with 3 and
this
a bit
might
laps
just
remaining.
have to force Almanza into some action here. He will not be aware of where Esteban is. He surely hasn't had a proper look just yet of where the Spaniard is. The hard charging Spaniard on that gas bike is right all over their rear. Once Almanza spots that, he will have to make his move on Piqueras. Maybe that move is coming now. He's into the slipstream of the championship leader. Will he get the move into turn 1, or will Piqueras be pitch perfect once again and cut the nose off him? Well, Piqueras is perfect in Portimao.
And Joel Esteban back into the 1:48, so only rider on circuit in the 1:48. He was a few 10ths of a second quicker. We don't have to talk about the lap times anymore, because he's right on the back of them. An absolute gargantuan effort to pull that back in from Joel Esteban in the last few laps. Piqueras leads it for now, ahead of Almanza. Joel Esteban now, you see, 0.6 of a second faster than your race leader, as Piqueras once again goes defensive into turn number 5. He's just doing that to cover off all possibilities on the final lap of the race. And Gabian Plonk has crashed out. That's such a shame for the number 48 machine. He has now crashed out of what was almost a points-paying position for the Frenchman. But back at the front, 2 and a bit laps to go. Joel Esteban has put in such a great performance to close this gap back. It was 1.4 seconds at the biggest. It's now less than 0.4 of a second to the leader as he dropped down into Craig Jones' corner. Will he shape up a move on Almanza? He's shaping it up. He's winding the wick up. He's down.
He's got him on the inside. Brilliant from Esteban. Will he make it sick? And Almanza's going to hang it out the outside. He's pushed the two of them wide. Piqueras, will he get the move on him? Oh, this would be an excellent lap for Esteban.
Amazing. Incredible stuff. He's looking for a lead.
He's got his eyes on him. He's looking at him.
He's not going to do it just yet. You've got to get up early to try and outbreak Angel Piqueras into turn 14, but he doesn't care. He wants his first race win, and he's doing everything in his power to get it. But that was such a well-calculated move on David Almanza into turn number 11 there. I thought for a second he might have clipped the back of Angel Piqueras once again. But look at Piqueras, this final corner really opens it up over Joel Esteban as he come over the crest of the hill for the penultimate time. And we tick off another lap. Joel Esteban in the slipstream down towards turn number 1. Almanza there as well. Can Joel Esteban pull off the slipstream? Yes, he can. Will he chop the nose off the front of? Yes, he has. And Joel Esteban from 1.4 seconds back a couple laps ago is back in the lead. And Piqueras is going, where have you come from, mate? You were gone a few laps ago. Here comes Almanza up the inside in turn number 3. Can't make it stick. So Joel Esteban, for now, leads ahead of Piqueras and Almanza.
Brilliant, brilliant lap and a half from Esteban there. He was 1.5 seconds behind the front two, and in one lap he's taken a 2 for 1. He is now in front. Piqueras needs to be kicked into the action. He was in control of this race, taking defensive action every time Almanza made a move, particularly down turn 1. Esteban has shown the Spaniard how to do it, and now he's going to open up a little bit of gap. His pace is rapid here with just a lap and a half remaining. Do Piqueras and Almanza have an answer for the hard-charging Esteban?
Well, you're going to have an answer, and they're going to have it very soon. Just a little bit of housekeeping further back. Alvaro Carpi still leads that battle for fourth ahead of Lunetta, Rolston, O'Shea, Buchanan, and Elio Bartolini. And can Piqueras wind up the wicket and look up the inside? No, he can't. Joel Esteban covers that off brilliantly into turn number 11, where he made the move on David Almanza just one lap ago. Piqueras, he's up for the fight. He wants to return to winning ways once again. David Almanza looks like he can't quite stick with the pace of Joel Esteban and Angel Piqueras. He's just holding on as much as he can. Doesn't look like he has the pace to overtake, but definitely has the pace to hold on for now. A couple of more corners to go before we start the final lap of the race. Almanza just losing touch with Piqueras in the penultimate corner. Joel Esteban leading the way onto the final lap. It's a repeat of Valencia between Piqueras and Joel Esteban, but here comes Almanza again. He's been so quick out of the final turn all through the weekend. Across the line, start the final lap of the race. Here comes Piqueras. Almanza pops out of the slipstream as well on the left-hand side of the screen. He's diving out behind Piqueras, and Piqueras takes the lead.
So late on the brakes
Incredible.
once again from Piqueras, and Esteban has been bunted back down into third place. Which way is this going to go? There are plenty of overtaking opportunities. It looks like Esteban has the pace to take both riders. Almanza hasn't shown anything just yet for the victory fight. That's his first overtake, I think, since Esteban actually came onto the scene. But Piqueras is back in control of this race. What does Esteban here? He's going to shoot up the inside of Almanza. Yes, he is. Absolutely brilliant move at turn 5.
Joel Esteban, you know where he's going to try. He's going to try into turn number 11. That's where he got Almanza a couple of laps to go. He's closing in on your race leader, Angel Piqueras, with only half a lap remaining. David Almanza, he's looking around the outside, potentially, of Joel Esteban. This is where Esteban, you have to watch out for. This is where he's good. Down the hill, into Craig Jones' corner for the final time. Angel Piqueras, Joel Esteban looking around the outside. He'll dive for the inside if he can. Here he comes, Joel Esteban on the inside. Incredible move from Joel Esteban.
He's cut back
he's
on the apex.
Piqueras goes around the inside. Oh, he's on the inside once more. Almost contact, but Piqueras has it for now. Joel Esteban, what can he do with only a handful of corners to go?
A brilliant late apex from Piqueras. He knew Esteban was coming from, and here he comes again. Is he going to make it stick?
Block pass.
Piqueras has got the drive. He's hanging around the outside, but he's on the inside. Esteban, one corner remaining. Almanza in third place, but Esteban's going to lead. Moment for Piqueras.
Both of them.
He's got it on the outside. He's hanging around the outside.
Almost through contact. Joel Esteban leads it for now. Here comes Piqueras and Almanza. Piqueras on the run to line, but it's going to be Esteban by mere
steals it on the line. Brilliant.
Joel Esteban, he is a Junior GP race winner for the first time in the most dramatic and incredible fashion. And Eddie O'Shea comes across the line for 5th spot behind Alvaro Carpi. Great battle there. Look at all the riders. About 15 of them, all come across the line together, and Eddie O'Shea takes it. But what about Joel Esteban? What, 13 thousandths of a second over Angel Piqueras, and he had to work so hard for it.
Brilliant. He was 1.5 seconds down. Reeled them in with about 4 laps, 4 laps remaining. Took a 2-for-1 on a lap and a half. Managed to fight back when Piqueras. It looked like Piqueras may have just done enough, but then a brilliant move at the last corner sealed his first win in the class.
Very well calculated. A block pass on Angel Piqueras in the penultimate corner, and Joel Esteban finally, we knew it was going to come at some point, but we just didn't think it was going to come this soon. Joel Esteban is a race winner. Well, how about that? 2 incredible races in Junior GP today, and 2 brand new race winners. Xabi Zurituza took it in race number 1, and Joel Esteban is a race winner in race number 2. What a sight that is, as all the riders pop a wheelie coming over the crest of the hill, the iconic hill here in Portimao. And Angel Piqueras, he won't be too upset with second place. He knows that's more important points on the board for him and his quest for Junior GP World Championship glory. And in third spot, well, just missing out was David Almanza. So a third and a fourth place today for David Almanza. 3-point scoring finishes on the bounce after what was a very tumultuous start to the season for the young Spaniards. There he is there, the number 22. He'll be a little bit aggrieved to have missed out on a podium, on a race winning chance, but he'll know it's another piece of silverware that he can take back home, and well, that's just more confidence building for the last few remaining rounds of Junior GP. So the riders roll into pit lane, and the top 3 will be rolling into Parc Fermé. And David Almanza, he's not jumping for joy, but he knows it would be, well, just missing out on a race victory. It's never the greatest of feelings, but another podium in the bag. That's second in 3 races, and a very, very well-earned podium indeed. And a very well-earned first victory in Junior GP for Joel Esteban, who was a serial race winner in the European Talent Cup last year. Got bags of talent, and with the Aspar junior team behind him, we know Joel Esteban is one to watch for the future, and he will be going places in the next few years. Joel Esteban, soak it in. Soak in the celebrations and all of the affections from your family and friends, because it, you can imagine, will be the first of many race wins, but the first one is always special. But here's the big moment that's set. I'm 1.5 seconds behind the race leader, Angel Piqueras, just late on the brakes after overtaking David Almanza, clipping the rear wheel of Angel Piqueras, but then fought back, and in this move on David Almanza with a couple of laps to go, Almanza trying to hang it around the outside, a bit of contact there from the 2 riders, and Joel Esteban sweeping into the lead on the final lap ahead of Angel Piqueras. Angel Piqueras not knowing where Joel Esteban came from, but this is the final corner. Almost a bit of a moment there, a bit of contact, the second piece of contact with Angel Piqueras. Esteban's comeback, it really was, and it was a great comeback, but Joel Esteban held on by 13 thousandths of a second to cross the line for his first victory in Junior GP, and you can see the emotions and how delighted he is with that. P1, Finetwork, FIM, Junior GP World Championship, and as I said a couple of minutes ago, you can imagine it will be the first of many to come in Junior GP for Joel Esteban. Angel Piqueras, well, he's well and truly on his way to wrapping up the Junior GP World Championship in the coming races. If he just holds on to, if he keeps performing the way he does, racking up those podiums and the occasional race win as well, and repeating that feat that only Jose Antonio Rueda managed to do in 2022 with Red Bull Rookies Cup champion and also Junior GP World Champion. David Almanza looks a little bit subdued with that, but he can still crack a smile after what was an impressive performance in that race. Those 3 riders, the top 3, were a class above in race number 2 here today. Alvaro Carpi held on to finish in 4th ahead of Eddie O'Shea and Tachikon Buaji, with Cormac Buchanan in 7th. Finally bouncing back from his slip-off in race number 1. Jacob Rosenthaler ahead of Daniel Sharil and Elia Bartolini rounding out the top 10. So a lot of riders there bouncing back from some misfortune in race number 1 to pick up some important podium points or top 10 points later on today. But we've got Chris Jordan down in Park Ferme to talk to your race 2 winner here in Junior GP, a first-time race winner in the hands of Joel Esteban.
Yeah, thanks very much, Liam. Here with a Junior GP race winner. Absolutely stunning stuff, Joel. You recovered from a mistake at turn 1, went wide, 1.5 seconds off, and charged hard late on. Absolutely stunning ride. How are you feeling after it?
I've been happy with my fair victory in Junior GP with the Moto3, and it was amazing. During the race, I do a mistake in the corner 1, but then I push a lot for try to catch Angela and Almanza, and finally I catch them. And in the last lap, I try to do my best. And in the last corner, I don't have a very good. Bueno, I don't do very good the last corner, but I push and I do my best. I do my best in the last corner, and finally win. Thanks to the team for all the work during the job, my sponsor, my family, and all the people support me.
Y ahora en castellano, por favor.
Bueno, estoy muy contento con mi primera victoria en el JuniorGP con la Moto3. La verdad que ha sido una carrera difícil. Han puesto un ritmo muy fuerte desde el primer momento. Me he intentado enganchar, al principio me quedaba un poco, pero bueno, luego he cometido un fallo en la curva 1 y me he quedado bastante atrás, pero bueno, he empezado a apretar, a dar lo mejor de mí y he visto que poco a poco los iba pillando. Y bueno, y después de un fin de semana que hemos tenido difícil, hasta ayer que lo solucionamos un poco, bueno, ya que había llegado, tenía que jugármela. Y también por todo el equipo, por todo el trabajo que ha hecho durante el fin de semana ayudándome a mí para encontrarme mejor con la moto y conmigo mismo. Y bueno, darle las gracias a todo el equipo del trabajo hecho, a la gente que me apoya, a mi familia y a todo el mundo.
Felicidades.
Gracias.
Well, let's unpack race number 2 of Junior GP action here in Portimao. There's a great start from the front row from Angel Piqueras, with your pole sitter Luca Lunetta dropping back 5th early on. But it was scrapping all the way back through the field, and Jacob Wilson and Tachikon Buaji got close for comfort in the opening laps of the race. But it was Javi Zurutuza that slipped off the race 1 winner out of the race, but hoping to bounce back in Montmello in a couple of weeks' time. It was all action throughout the field, but at the front it was Angel Piqueras, David Almanza and Joel Esteban that were charging away from the pack. The top 3 were a class above in the race and opened out the gap over the second group substantially throughout the entire race. But it was this moment here that really gave us a highlight of the race. Joel Esteban late on the brakes tagged the back of Angel Piqueras into turn number 1, dropping 1.5 seconds behind the leading pair. But he would fight back, and before you knew it, he was back in the leading pack. Luca Lunetta and Alvaro Carpi got close for comfort in the battle for 4th place. Alvaro Carpi eventually taking the honours of that. But Joel Esteban had a look up the inside, almost coming together with David Almanza before taking the lead 1 lap later on Angel Piqueras. Joel Esteban searching for his first victory in Junior GP, but Piqueras and Almanza had other ideas and put Joel Esteban back to 3rd with only 1 lap to go. Angel Piqueras was leading for now, but Joel Esteban fought back at turn number 5 to retake 2nd and shaped up a move into turn 11, where he's been so strong all weekend and took Angel Piqueras by surprise. He held on for a couple of corners, but Angel Piqueras swooped around the outside and almost had the eyes of victory in his sight. But Joel Esteban put a block pass onto the penultimate corner, and as Piqueras got a little bit wobbly on the outside into the final corner, David Almanza looked up the inside, but across the line they came, and it was Joel Esteban that held on for his first victory in Junior GP. The Aspar Junior team were delighted with that. That was 2 wins of the day for the team in 2 different classes. And Joel Esteban, a race winner once again, and for the first time, a Junior GP race winner. The first, you can imagine, of many. So the podium celebrations will be in full flow, but before then we will be giving out the trophies. So the team representative of the Aspar Junior team takes to his position, a big smile indeed after what must have been a very intense 15 laps watching Joel Esteban on his way for a first victory. David Almanza can crack a smile with that one. Another important podium for him after 4 non-scores. He's picked up 3 top 4 results in the championship. Angel Piqueras in second, but the happiest rider on the podium, the stocky youngster, is Joel Esteban, today's race winner, where he will be lifting atop his first race winner's trophy in Junior GP. But before then, the vice president of the FMP will hand out the trophy to the winning team, the Asper Junior team. Another trophy for their huge trophy cabinet back at base. David Almanza picks up 3rd spot, his 2nd podium in the last 3 races. And after picking up 4th spot in race number 1, that will be an improvement, and a very happy improvement at that for the young Spaniard.
JuniorGP Chief Steward.
So the FIM Junior GP Chief Steward, Pedro Ribeiro, hands out the 2nd place trophy to Angel Piqueras, who increases his championship lead. And a very important championship lead at that, with only 5 races remaining of the season. But the most important trophy is for Joel Esteban, as he is lifting atop the race winners trophy for the first time in Junior GP, as we hear the Spanish national anthem after he's given some free Finetwork Wi-Fi for a full year. A very, very nice prize at that. So it's time for the Spanish national anthem.
E vamos ouvir o hino espanhol para a vitória de Joel Esteban.
The Spanish national anthem plays out for Joel Esteban in Junior GP, and, well, you can imagine that will be the first of many for young Esteban in the class. Angel Piqueras increases the championship lead. David Almanza picks up another important podium, as the top 3 will stand for a picture, and that is your top 3 from race number 2 here in Junior GP. And Junior GP will be back in action in just 2 weeks' time, with Chris Jordan alongside me and Tristan Pinocchiaro. However, here is the results of race number 2 and the final race of the day for Junior GP. It's Joel Esteban taking the victory ahead of Angel Piqueras, and David Almanza just missing out on victory. Alvaro Carpe held on for 4th ahead of Eddie O'Shea, picking up a top 5 for the first time this year. Tachikon Buadri couldn't manage the podium, he got in 6th. And from race 1 ahead of Cormac Buchanan, Jacob Rosenthaler and Daniel Sharil. Elia Bartolini bounced back from his race 1 off to pick up a top 10 ahead of Luca Lunetta, who couldn't repeat the podium charge he found in race 1, ahead of Nico Carraro, Fernando Yambias, Marcos Uriarte and Jacob Rulston, dropping all the way down to 15th and rounding out the point scoring positions. Alessandro Morosi and Leo Ramensdorfer went 16th and 17th ahead of Noah Detweiler. Cesar Tiesi in 19th ahead of Marcus Ruda, running at the top 20 ahead of Uchimi in 21st. Angus Grenfell behind him ahead of Torrin Collins. Alessio Mattia ahead of RB Aditama, who managed to remount after earlier contact in the race with Marcus Ruda. Gibin Plonk was in 26th after he crashed late on, but remounted ahead of Jeffrey Emmanuel. Their non-finishers Adrian Cruces, Alex Gourdon and Shabi Zuratuza.
So in the championship standings, Angel Piqueras is on 140 points. Extends his advantage over Alvaro Carpe, 54 points behind. Luca Lunetta remains in 3rd, 64 off the pace. Joel Esteban, big winner, he pushes up to 5th place with 25 points today, just behind Jacob Rulston. Xabi Zuratuza, another winner of today, despite his race 2 DNF. Almanza Carraro just behind. Cormac Buchanan in the top 10. Eddie O'Shea is in 11th. Cruces, Rosenthaler, Bartolini also scoring quite highly. Bartolini crashing in race 1. Morosi, Ruda, Sharil are 15th, 16th and 17th. And these are the rest of the championship standings. Detweiler on 16 points, Yambias on 12, while Aditama, Azawa, Uriarte are on 8 and 7 respectively, with Azawa and Uriarte sharing the same score. Rammersdorfer, Uchiumi, Torrin Collins complete the table.
So there you have it. Race number 2 for Junior GP is done and dusted and into the history books here at the Autodromo Internacional du Algarve. Joel Esteban, a first-time race winner in Junior GP. We have 2 first-time race winners here today, and you don't have to wait long for Junior GP to be back in action, as the class will be back in action in just 2 weeks' time at Montmello. But don't go anywhere, as we have Moto2 race number 2 coming up next.